Hello there and welcome to the World News on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Machuku and these are the top stories. Gumi fumes as DSS federal government also declare his ally a terrorist. Federal government discloses military kill scale on terrorists. President Tinubu bans foreign trips by ministers, aides, government officials. Joe Ajara responds to criticism and accusations of seeking the presidency in 2027. Details now. Now, the world news begins with popular Nigerian controversial Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmed Gumi declaring that the Department of State Services has no right to declare his ally Malam Tukur Mamu a terrorist financier. You recall that the federal government recently released a list of 15 entities, including 9 individuals and 6 bureau de change operators and firms involved in terrorism financing. The details of the development was revealed by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and made available to journalists. The document, which was entitled Designation of Individuals and Entities for March 18, 2024, disclosed that the Nigeria Sanctions Committee met on March 18, 2024 and recommended that specific individuals and entities be sanctioned following their involvement in terrorism financing. Among the individuals named on the document is a Kaduna-based publisher, Tukur Mamu. Now, it is worth noting that Mamu has been in the custody of the DSS since his arrest in Cairo, Egypt in September 2022. The cleric is currently being tried by the federal government for allegedly aiding the terrorists who attacked the Abuja-Kaduna train in March 2022. Mamu was apprehended at the time with his family members while en route to Saudi Arabia for Lesser Hajj. Now, during a recent X space organized by a particular newspaper, Daily Trust, Sheikh Gumi stressed the importance of not granting security agencies the power to categorize an individual as a terrorist financier, particularly when the matter is already being handled by the court. Despite facing charges related to terrorism financing in a federal high court in Abuja, Mamu firmly pleaded his innocence. Sheikh Gumi described the situation between Mamu and the security agency as a misunderstanding, refraining from further comments as the case is currently being handled by the court. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information, Muhammad Idris, has reiterated the commitment of the federal government and the military to protecting the lives and property of Nigerians. According to him, the armed forces neutralized 974 terrorists, apprehended 621 suspects, rescued 466 hostages, and recovered 1,573 weapons in the month of February 2024 alone. The minister disclosed that the military has been busy keeping the country, its citizens and other residents safe. It was disclosed this yesterday during Ramadan after iftar with some journalists, social media influencers and others in Kano State. It was used the opportunity to assure that the military operatives are taking the fight to the bandits, terrorists, kidnappers and other criminals, urging Nigerians to be patient as more results unfold. He also listed some kinetic approaches employed by the government to the fight against terrorism and banditry, to include the establishment of the 50 billion naira Purako initiative targeting 7 frontline states in the battle against banditry and cattle rustling in Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, Niger, Kaduna, Benue and Kebbi states. Elsewhere, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has banned ministers, aides and other government officials from embarking on foreign trips in a bid to cut the cost of governance. Tinubu gave the directive via letter dated March 12, 2024 by his Chief of Staff Gbajabiamila and addressed the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. President Tinubu in the letter directed an embargo on all foreign trips, but stated that exemption could be given to trips deemed absolutely necessary. The letter added that Tinubu said such exemptions would need presidential approvals, which must be sought 2 weeks ahead of the planned trip. According to the letter, the ban will last 90 days in the first instance and will come into effect on April 1, 2024. In the letter, President Tinubu also expressed concerns over the rising cost of foreign trips embarked upon by government officials amid the country's dire economic situation. Elsewhere, Joe Ajaero, president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, has responded to criticism and accusations of seeking the presidency in 2027. Ajaero refuted any political ambition, stating that his actions within the Labour Party are solely for the party's welfare. Joe Ajaero emphasized his adherence to a memorandum of understanding signed between Ayuba Waba and Julius Aburi, aimed at ensuring a smooth transition. Ajaero highlighted the necessity of upholding agreements and criticized Aburi's reluctance to honor the memorandum of understanding. He defended his actions by citing past NLC interventions and the need for proper party conventions. Ajaero questioned the legitimacy of Aburi's chairmanship of the Labour Party and underscored the importance of transparent party processes. He challenged critics to consider the history and founding principles of the party. And now for us to head to a news analysis segment. I actually have right here in the studio Mr. Peter Anosike. Peter Anosike is a national political and social affairs commentator. Peter Anosike as well is an economic strategist and author of one of the best-selling books in Africa. Peter Anosike, welcome to the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Peter Anosike. Specifically, I needed you to be right here in the studio because I needed a comprehensive analysis from you on this particular story that developed, I think, last night, almost 2 days ago. There is a controversy which is brewing in the presidency, all right? As a letter which was addressed the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, by the chairman of the Special Investigative Committee, Ijeoma Egwuatu, surfaced. Now, the letter was dated December 22, 2023, where Egwuatu requested over 2 billion naira for surveillance, vetting, security, addressing black spots, monitoring hotels, and acquiring vehicles. Now, you know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed Egwuatu, who is former Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, in July 2023 as a special investigator to investigate the CBN and related entities. Egwuatu, who was fired by the previous administration headed by former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2017, investigated the CBN under the tenure of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi. Now, in his appointment letter, which was dated July 28, 2023, President Tinubu said Egwuatu would also work on a comprehensive report on public wealth currently in the hands of corrupt individuals and establishments. And part of his job schedule is to strengthen key government business entities, block leakages in the Central Bank of Nigeria and related government business entities, and provide a comprehensive report on public wealth currently in the hands of corrupt individuals and establishments. Okay? So this is basically where things went a little bit rife. Now, Egwuatu is asking for some amount of money for most of these things he's doing, which is actually quite expected. But the problem is the fact that some CBN officials feel that these monies are too much. It's ostentatious. Exactly what is he doing, or how many people does he need to investigate? So Egwuatu asked for 750 million naira for information sourcing, fact-finding, synthesis, and vetting. The special investigator also asked for 800 million naira for surveillance, black sites, private security, and prying eyes. For logistics, outstation and team funding, Egwuatu demanded 550 million naira. He also demanded 35 million naira for consumables. The total amount of money requested by the special investigator was 2,135 million to be paid into a premium trust account number. Now, the account number was actually put out there. Meanwhile, concerned CBN officials who shared a copy of the letter with online newspapers and questioned the rationale behind the request when the Apex Bank had already provided for such activities. So, of course, originally the president would have ensured that there were funds available for Ijeoma Egwuatu and his auditing team to go through whatever is required to find out the leakages and financial misappropriations by the previous administration. Asking for about 2 billion naira for I want to ask, so in this particular scenario, is it an opportunity to make money as an individual? And if Obazi was one person that was fired during the tenure of former President Muhammadu Buhari, doesn't that already set a premise for his kind of person's credibility to conduct this investigation in the first instance?
Well, for me, I was among those that opposed the appointment because Jim Obaze is somebody who is known as Mr. Controversy.
Okay.
He has been involved in all kinds of, including sexual harassment of one Abimbola, his secretary.
Mr. Nosike, you actually have facts to that effect.
Sure, understand me, including sexual harassment of his secretary, one Abimbola. Understand me. So, and they say it was God that saved her because Obaze used to keep her in the office doing nothing till around after 10 in the night. A married woman, understand? Then telling her how he feels about her. This Obaze fought Sanusi.
Okay.
Fought Peter Atedo side, the owner of IBTC. He was instrumental to the forceful resignation of Enoch Adeboye.
Okay.
It was him that brought that document that any GO of a church that has presided more than 20 years should resign.
Okay.
So it was because of all his controversies that Buhari fired him on January 2017. So I was shocked when Tinubu appointed him and addressed him as being in charge of an organization that was no more functioning. Understand me?
Yeah.
That Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. And mind you, about 2 months ago, the NSA, Nuhu Oribadu, said that he should submit all his documents to the government that his tenure, that his job has expired. So I wonder what he is still doing with all this. This guy, integrity is far away from him. Understand? He has no integrity, he has no honor. So I wonder what he is still doing in government. Somebody who's supposed to be resting in jail at the moment.
All right, but we all know what it is, the effort it takes for an investigation. Jim Obazi's investigation goes even almost from the inception of Emefiele's tenure as the CBN governor. You know, former President Muhammadu Buhari was there for 8 years, so that means from the inception of him being the governor of the CBN for 8 years. Do you think the money was the money he's requesting for? Do you think it's too much because he's going way back, and all the allies that were also part of the financial misappropriation, even bank chief executives that Jim Obazi was able to find out through his investigation that enabled Emefiele were part of the ring of financial embezzlement? Would you say the money he's requesting for is too much for him to go through that thorough investigation process for the president?
Jim Obaze provided the report that made Jonathan to fire the CBN governor then. Understand?
Who? That's Sanusi Lamido?
Sure.
It was the same Jim Obaze.
Jim Obaze provided that report. It was after Sanusi was fired that Emefiele was appointed. So Buhari did not appoint Emefiele. Buhari inherited Emefiele from Jonathan. Understand? So, but he completed his tenure under Buhari, and Buhari now reappointed him. So so what he's doing is that he is going about, he is fighting, and they're also fighting back because he has a lot of enemies in the bank. So he's not going there. He's an interested party. Okay. And what he's doing there is not an honest job. He's doing a hatchet job, which I told you many months ago, that this man is doing a hatchet job, that he just wants to look good in the face of the president, and that he's not doing anything good. Okay, what are you doing with 2 billion? For what? For what? So he is just trying to, he is just trying to see to use it as an opportunity to make his own money, because since Buhari fired him in 2017, he has been out of job. So 2023 was a notch back for him, and all the money that he has lost since then, that's what he's now trying to recover.
Okay, so let's look at the president going through what you call the cost of governance. He has actually banned officials, within his cabinet from commencing on foreign trips. One of that is because of the, ostentatious lifestyle some of these public officials who are serving with him portray. And we know the current economic challenges that Nigerians are facing. And you recall there was a workshop that was organized recently, way back in London, and Nigerians were wondering, why would you organize a workshop in London?
Obudu Cattle Ranch is there for such a thing.
Exactly. So that's the issue. So that was what brought the attention of the president to this. Well, some netizens actually said that this was what Peter Obi had actually suggested at the time. From the beginning. Exactly. So Labour Party former presidential candidate said no foreign investor or partner would invest in Nigeria given the country's situation, especially with terror attacks, banditry, kidnappings, and violence that had continued to pillage the nation. Well, because of the situation, Obi had actually said that if he was the president, that his public officials would not, especially those who do not necessarily have to be with him, would not accompany him on some of those foreign trips, considering the fact that economically the country is in a very tightrope. So he's heeding to Obi's advice as to what Obi had suggested earlier. Do you think this particular ban from the president will be effective?
Well, for me, if the president can practice what he preaches, understand? You cannot be preaching one thing and be doing a different thing.
Okay.
Can he himself abide by it?
All right.
Because his last foreign tour, he had more than 80 delegates with him, including his two children, Sheyi and Yinka, that have no reason being there. Understand me? So you should be practicing what you are preaching. If you say that the country doesn't have money, you should be frugal. You should be frugal in your expenditure, in your lifestyle. The other time that he was in Lagos State, he had over 50 convoys. What Obi said, he practices as a governor.
Okay.
Obi wasn't going with more than 2 convoys as a governor. So if he has started from reducing the cost of governance, we wouldn't have been in the mess that we are now.
Okay.
But he is waking up.
Okay.
So he is waking up. And they said that if a chicken wakes up, it becomes an ego.
All right. Now let's go back to Ijeoma Egwuatu's report. There's a reason why I'm actually talking about this. With the complaint from some officials within the CBN as to how much money Ijeoma Egwuatu is requesting for, aside from the official financial allocation given to him to go on with this investigation. Will this dilute the process so far? That is the investigation that Ijeoma Egwuatu has conducted so far. Because for this publication to be out here, the bank account is out here, the CBN officials who are questioning Ijeoma Egwuatu's motive, how would we trust the entire objectivity of all the investigation and auditing that Ijeoma Egwuatu has done? And remember that they said, I remember some officials within the government, that is those who were indicted in this Ijeoma Egwuatu investigation, there were reports that they were asking President Tinubu to scrap that auditing process, to shut it down. Already some of them are silently paying up. They're paying the monies that they already know they've been asked for concerning the investigation as it commenced. Now, do you think with what this disclosure is about Ijeoma Egwuatu, would it continue to authenticate the investigation so far? For me, I've said it many months ago. There's no integrity in any report that Egwuatu will come up with. Why are you certain? What this is
because of his person. Because of who he is, he's a corrupt fellow. Understand me? From corruption, corrupt documents will understand me. You cannot be a corrupt person and come up with a document that will have integrity. Understand me? He is forcing these CBN workers to give him money to be to shield them. Understand?
Okay.
Even mind you, Emefiele said such a thing.
Yes.
Understand?
When he was in prison, he said
Yes.
Jim Obazi had come to ask questions, but he's seen a different thing in the report that Jim Obazi has actually put in.
Blackmailing them. Understand me? So there will be no integrity in any report that comes from such a human being.
So if we're already beginning to see lapses in the process of this whole report, and there are already questions as to Jim Obazi's personality and his authenticity in the way he's been gathering evidences against Emefiele, how do we know that whatever it is he has compiled, how do we know the factual angle to it?
For me, I say that his report does not have any integrity. What he did is a hatchet job. He just wants to punish those who fought him under Buhari, because he knew that Emefiele has a hand in his sacking.
Okay.
Understand me? He knew that. So he saw this as an opportunity to fight back. And I'm not the only one that's saying that Tinubu should discard the report. Other people have said it.
How do you think this will place President Bola Tinubu's administration? Because the first thing the president did when he assumed office, Emefiele was arrested. Also, former EFCC chair was also arrested, although that he has been released. These are two individuals that the president personally took upon himself to ask to be investigated and apprehended. And then you set up a committee that was meant to give us an unbiased, all right, report on financial allocations, misappropriations between his tenure from 2015 up until 2022. So if the person the president put to be in charge of that investigation is compromised or partisan, then exactly. So how do we genuinely understand or accept whatever comes out at the end of the day from this investigation, considering how much money has gone into this?
I keep on saying it. It is a hatchet job that he is doing in CBN. He felt that Emefiele instructed Buhari to fire him in January 2017, and he's now fighting back. That's what is happening. So that report has no integrity, has no honesty. People will always give a snake will give birth to something in its own likeness. So a corrupt person will always come out with a corrupt document. So Obaze is corrupt, and whatever his output will always be corrupt, and it is showing. I started to raise this many months ago.
Okay. All right, let's look at the president actually asking that his ministers should be allowed to work, and that they should stop summoning him or summoning them all the time, so that they can actually go about their oversight functions as best as they can. The fact is this: because of the current situation in the country, it is expected that the ministers will be called to defend themselves, or questions will be thrown at them as to them having to disclose why we are actually having the current security situation or even the economy. It's normal. But the president is asking that they should stop being summoned to the Senate so they can carry out their oversight function. So they be invited most of the time to answer questions as to whatever dilapidation we're experiencing in any sector of the Nigerian society. Is that what is stopping them from performing appropriately in their oversight functions?
According to the Constitution, there's checks and balancing in a presidential system of government. The National Assembly will always be calling the executive and asking them what is happening. An instance, over 287 children are in the bush.
Okay.
So the National Assembly should always be summoning the defense minister. Where are these children? What are you doing about it? If they are not doing it, no, it means that we don't have any checks and balances anymore. So it is constitutional. They should continue to do it. It is their mandate. Understand? So Tinubu saying that they shouldn't do it means that they shouldn't do the job for which they were voted in for. So it is their constitutional right to do it, and they should be doing it.
All right, let's look at Joe Ajaro, president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, who recently responded to criticisms and accusation that he's seeking for presidency in 2027. Joe Ajaro is asking for the sack of Julius Aburi as the chairman of the Labour Party, and he's saying that Julius Aburi actually has no right to be the chairman of the Labour Party, and that the NLC owns the Labour Party. That's basically what Joe Ajaro is saying. Do you think that Joe Ajaro has become, would I call it, complicit in some political stunts, just like he was accused of when he went to Imo State for the protests that he organized at the time, where some guys took him away and beat him up?
Well, Joe Ajaro has been my very good friend for more than 20 years now.
All right.
When he was in Vanguard as a Nebo reporter, I was the Nebo reporter for the Sun newspaper. So we have been friends for a very long time, more than 20 years. But recently, I'm not so happy with what is happening.
Okay.
Understand? So I'm seeing a lot of amateur conduct. Understand? An instance, this is the issue of demanding for 1 million naira minimum wage, which it is not feasible, it's not realistic. So it seems as if he's just having fun there. And okay, there was a report which I don't know how true it is, that Abure signed an agreement to quit by 2023. Understand? So I don't know how authentic that report is. But they said that they are enforcing an agreement. Understand me? But what the idea should do is to know that the Labour Party of 5 years ago is no more Labour Party of today. It has become a major issue in the country.
Okay.
It now has a state, which is Abia State.
Okay.
And we know that political parties are being funded by state governors, senators, House of Representatives, which they never had before.
Okay.
So the Labour Party now has more money than they have many years ago.
All right.
And they said that money is the root of all evil. Understand me? According to them, even though...
Well, Arabambi is asking for the immediate arrests of Joe Ajaro because they are saying that what Joe Ajaro is actually doing is possibly accusing... Arabambi is accusing Joe Ajaro of attempted assassination of our democratically elected administration, and that he should be arrested as soon as possible. He has actually termed
Which administration?
the administration of the Labour Party now, as it stands, or members within the Labour Party.
So Arabambi is now supporting Abure, is that?
He's just saying that he has
Because
destabilized the structure of the Labour Party.
Belongs to a Apapa faction.
Exactly. Well, he's just saying that Joe Ajaro has become a thug and that he should be arrested as soon as possible because he's trying to assassinate the democratic process of the Labour Party. In what context Arabambi is for the Labour Party right now is what is not stipulated, but however is asking that Joe Ajaro be arrested as soon as possible.
Well, for me, I don't really understand his mission at this point in time.
Okay.
Because instead of building, he is destroying.
Okay.
Instead of building, people are speculating will Peter Obi remain in Labour Party in 2027.
Remember, I asked you that question.
Sure.
I said, is it not better for Peter Obi to have to start off another party now? Because it seems the Labour Party is hell-bent on creating a sense of misidentification of what it stands for.
On destruction. Because they should be building now instead of destroying. So Joe Ajaro is not helping or the party. Abure is also not helping. Okay. And they are not giving a good signal to the Nigerian youth that voted for the party in 2023.
In 2023. 2027 is up close, there are some members within the APC who are saying that they will withdraw their support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They're saying that some of the promises that he actually, gave them during the course of the election is not what they're experiencing now. And they are leaders of the All Progressives Congress in the Federal Capital Territory that threatening to withdraw their support from the president over what they described as disregard for the party members in the nation's capital territory by Nyesom Wike. There have been complaints about Nyesom Wike's activities within the FCT, which they're not comfortable with. Now, they're not the only person. Some northerners, specifically the traditional rulers from the north, have been also agitating because they're not happy with the fact that the president has not done what he promised them he would do, and they're asking him to divide the country. He should do it now so everybody knows where they go. So the question to you is, at the moment, the fact that the president solicited some persons to show him support, he has become the president now and has realized that there are some things he cannot actually do. Does that warrant anyone who supported initially to withdraw their support? And what does this say for the APC as a party and their agenda for 2027?
Well, for me, I believe in people keeping to their agreement.
Okay.
If you make a promise, you should keep to it. And if there's no reason why you should not keep to that agreement, you should explain to the people instead of ignoring them. Because there'll still be another day. So the Northerners are not too happy with the president at this point in time. And and they are gradually withdrawing their support. It is happening everywhere in the country. So, but they should also know that Nigeria is not as buoyant as they think. Maybe if he has promised you to give you 1 billion naira, the money is no more there. And with the Orosonia report, appointments have been restricted. So they should also understand the trend of the country. But you don't just promise people and abandon them. For me, I'm not in support of that.
But as it is, the president has realized that some promises cannot be met, considering what he came on board to.
Why should you promise what you should not fulfill?
Well, maybe at the time the president thought he had everything in control. You can never say, because that the bid at the time was to become the president. But there are challenges now that the president is experiencing, and everybody wants a quota from the federal government. What I mean from the federal government, from the capital base, everybody wants something. If the president is not able to meet up with all those demands, does it mean that there will be deliberate sabotage on his administration?
Well, they have been doing that. And even there was a report that the 287 children,
yes,
that it was inflated. That the figure was
so it's not up to 287.
Yes, because people have been wondering, where are the parents of these 287 children? No, it's everywhere. Understand? When the Chibok girls were kidnapped, there were kind of anarchy in the country, tension everywhere. But these are kids, primary school children.
And the educators.
And everybody is quiet as if all is well. So people felt that these figures were inflated just to collect money from the federal government.
All right, let's finally let you go, Mr. Anosike. You recall what happened at Okwama community in Delta State between Okwama and Ukoloba. Immediately it happened, the presidency called the military. Right, there was a formation and they were deployed to Okwama community. Now, 287 children and their educators were abducted. Another 87 was abducted, I think, in Kaduna. That was 2 or 3 days ago. And the Nigerians are asking questions that they've not seen the immediacy in terms of, putting together a formidable military force to see how they can secure the release of these children. So, what exactly is going on? What is the government considering as its priority?
Well, remember that the Minister of Defense is from Kaduna. Okay. Musa is from Kaduna, and this is happening in his own state. Understand? So if the Minister of Defense cannot protect his own state, it means that he cannot protect any other part of the country.
Yes.
Understand? So for the truth is that, and remember the statement that they issued, that where the children have been taken is difficult to assess.
Yes.
I was wondering, how can bandits take children, untrained children, to an area that the military that are trained cannot. So you can see sabotage everywhere.
All right, Mr. Peter Anosike, thank you so much for your time and sharing your perspective on the world news at 12. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, and now to wrap up here again are the top stories. You heard that Sheikh Gumi fumes asked DSS a federal government for declaring his ally a terrorist. Federal government discloses military kill scale on terrorists. President Tinubu bans foreign trips by ministers, aides, government officials. And Ajara responds to criticism and accusations of seeking the presidency in 2027. That's a wrap on the world news at 12. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Up next is Matters with Ikami Jude.